Alright, trying to repair the air filter on my old 9-inch tractor. It's bent and broken. So take it off, straighten it out, and then see if I can weld it up. It's an oil bath air filter, which actually, anybody's ever familiar with them, they're actually better than what we use now. Paper cartridge as well. Let's see if I have a crescent. Yep. If you're wondering why I'm using ratchet and hand tools to do this instead of a electric or pneumatic impact, I find I break less bolts on these rusty machines, especially when you get into something like this that probably's not been off this machine since it was built in 1940, possibly 39. All right. All right, let me move. You see, that is how they both should look. But that is how that one is. Of course, you see this pipe is bent like that. I pulled this off so I could slip that out, and then that's moving around like that because it's broken free from the top. So I'll set this back over here. You see if I can get it from the other side. Get my swivel and I'll try 2 extensions. That should put me out past the hood of the tractor on the other side. Now let me know if that bolt turns. Alright, that part is free. I actually hate using crescent wrenches, but in my sockets, there are ratchet set. Where I should have a 11/16 wrench. It's 2 3/4 and 2 5/8. So, and when I checked all my toolboxes for 11/16, it's either I found one additional socket which for the side that's not bent, that worked just fine. The side that's bent, it don't fit. Alright, let me see if that will work now. Cat is supposed to be a semi-family channel, not a OnlyFans for you. Let me get the camera. Sorry about the cat butt. Here, we'll put you up here. I'll set this back up here. And did it come off or did I break my swivel? No, it came off. Now, let me see if I can do it from this side. Well, where'd the crescent wrench go? Y'all didn't see by chance where I set my crescent wrench. Let's see if I got that to where it would fit. Alright, now I want to find my crescent wrench, which, knowing me, I put it in my pocket. Nope, there's the wire cutters I was looking for earlier. Alright, I'm going to pause y'all and come back to y'all in a minute. Alright, I got it off. When I get this all back together and fixed, that is going to be filled with ATF and allowed to soak for a few days. I'm going to set this here. Well, let's see if I can. He's back competing for the camera. So that should be, these should be, if I can get them that way. closer to like that than how they were. Now I'm not going to get them perfect, but I'll get them close. And the ears where the bolts go through will actually flatten out when the bolts go through and tighten down. I just need them to line up with the holes. So, that off. Am I? Got that in just a hair more. Alright, that part isn't fairly fixed, but so the air goes in that way, comes through, down here on the bottom goes through the oil that's in the bowl and into this mesh. This mesh comes in there and catches what the dirt don't catch, or I mean the oil don't catch, and then it comes back out to this tube going to the carburetor. And so, Kitty, you're back to trying to make an OnlyFans? Yeah, let me see if I can get the off. Alright, I'm going to pause. I'll see if I can adjust the camera to where y'all can see where I was at. But this has to come off. And when I get it off, I'll show you the condition of it. But I'm going to pause y'all for the moment. Now, let me see if I can do this without the camera falling off. I went and got a crowbar and a hammer. There's actually a bend in this pipe. It's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a straight pipe. So I thought about taking it and, getting some exhaust tube, the right diameter, and then welding it in. But then I found out exhaust tube wasn't exactly going to work for what I needed it. I shouldn't have drank so much if you're going to keep falling on your face like that. I'm jumping and swerving everywhere, so. I know it is a holiday weekend, but still. There's no reason to be sloppy drunk at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. No, there we go. That got enough out of it. And this is why I wasn't able to come in there and take it off. Years ago, I was mowing my mom's pasture with this tractor. And then while I was mowing, I come across stuff in the underbrush or in the tall grass that I didn't know was there. Wasn't there when I'd previously mowed. Wasn't supposed to be there because it's supposed to be out in the middle of the pasture. Well, tractor got entangled in it. I was running the tractor without an overrun clutch, which actually is a bad idea with these old tractors. But, you know, at that point in time, I'd had this tractor for years and had run it for years without the overrun clutch. And just always had paid attention to be careful not to get in situations to where I couldn't stop the tractor under its own power, or clutch the tractor, throw it into the PTO and the transmission both into neutral. Oh, I found that didn't work out like I thought it would. In case you are wondering, I'm trying to see if I can hammer and dolly with the crowbar. Push the dent back out so that when I get it all welded back together, I can straighten it all out. But now back to the original story, how this happened. Said I caught the stuff, couldn't stop the tractor. It wrapped around my shaft of my shredder and pulled me over under a tree, with it pushing me back into the spinning parts of the shredder before I was able to get it stopped. Luckily, I got it stopped before it actually pushed me in there. But this old tractor, the way the brakes and the clutch and everything, you pretty much have to stand up on them for them to work, because they're long pedals and they use leverage as their braking force. Which, if you ever need to stop this thing going down a hill, you may not be able to stop it before you get to the bottom of the hill if you have weight with it. If it's empty, just you on the tractor and no other way, yeah, it stops and goes going up and down the hill, no problem with that braking system. But if you're pulling a trailer or have a piece of heavy attachment on the back or something like that, you go down a hill with it, you're holding on for the ride. You just hope nobody gets in the way, because you may or may not stop no matter how quick you stand up on those brake pedals. You just have to steal the show every time I'm out here filming and you're around. Like, I had to rescue out of the tree once. Now you want it to be loving time. I'm trying to straighten all this out. The band is the easiest part to straighten out. I just have to break the rust free on the threads. Had to get some anti-seize. Not endorsed by them, so I'm not giving a name out or that momentarily the band broke free. Looks like I'm not the first one to make a repairs to this thing. But nice thing about these antique tractors, they're made out of such real metal that you can use the tractor itself as your anvil. Band's still out of whack, but now, let's see. All right, I'll move y'all back down so y'all can see. My goal is not to make it perfect, but that's move it around her. My goal is to make it serviceable. Just a little more. Well, drinking again. You need to quit drinking and holding the camera. case y'all wondering, I don't know where y'all are at. Y'all can see if the camera shows it, but there's a dent in there. I'm using this foot peg. I hold it on the side it's on would be the high spot. The side I'm on is the low spot. And I take and tap using my foot peg as a dolly or an anvil. The only problem is there's a few pieces in there that make some aspects of this not as easy, so there's going to be perfect. But the reason I try to do what I can is because as you can see, get you up in the sun to where you see the shape of it. It's changed quite a bit. The shadows are, so that is making a bit of a difference. Problem I'm having, let's see. See the dent there. Let's see if I can work some of it out. You're wondering why I'm using a framing hammer. Do this, not a bodywork hammer, is I don't have a bodywork hammer, and that particular hammer is about the weight of a body hammer, and it has a smooth head with a bit of a dome shape to it that makes it years ago I had a bodywork hammer. One of my brothers borrowed it and I was. So if I go about there, so. When you have a bend in the metal, you've got to try to get all sides. Like I said, my goal is not necessarily perfect. It's effective. Alright, I'm going to pause y'all there. Alright, got the camera set up. Got the, everything else set up. Let's see if I can get this all welded back together. Let's see if I can tack it. I've done a test weld to see. Let me loosen my hood up. See how that looks. Looks like boogers, but let me get my hood adjusted. Set my hood on my head, tightened it down because while I was doing something, I needed it to be staying in position, which it wasn't. Well, now what I needed it for, stay in that position. I don't need it. I couldn't get it to loosen up where I could drop it down and shield my eyes. Alright, looking at that, I'm going to turn my heat down. So, I'm going to go between B and A. And that's about as low as I can go. There we go. Now, Alright, check that out now, see how it was. Now I skipped around on some of the stuff I've done with welding to the grinding phase now. Like I said in one of my earlier videos, you'll see me doing some welding on a mower. I took a welding class in high school, but I've actually learned more about welding from other welders than the welding class in high school. Welding teacher I had in high school definitely didn't teach me how to use a wire feed. Taught me how to use a stick welder, and he preferred, I remember, was it 6013 or 6014 welding rods, which are only good for, his choice of welding rods was only good for flat welding and thicker pieces of metal. Thin metal like this, and they're two different thicknesses. One is, I say, is probably 1/8 inch, and the other is probably 3/32 thick. So from years of rust has thinned it out, and in spots I had to build and thicken it up. So now I'm going to try grinding down, making my welds look a little better, because I had to do a lot of touch and go booger welds to build up the metal to where I could actually run a bead. What I have learned watching these other welders on YouTube, a lot of things that wasn't explained. It's like, had seen a lot of people prefer the vertical down because it's such a pretty weld. They didn't like the vertical up. What I did learn from watching one program on YouTube called Project Brewpeg, they actually explained how to do the welds and why the weld didn't look as pretty when you did a vertical up, but yet it was a better weld than a vertical down. And everything welding instructor I had in high school taught us about welding. Vertical up was not a weld you could do using his instructions. So if you were welding something, you'd wind up with a vertical down, which produced a weld that tended to break. and understood why every single weld we did like that in high school when it was an ag class, with the stuff actually went out on a farm and was used for work, why all those vertical welds had a tendency to snap. Then I've also watched two other shows, DD Speed Shop and Puddin's Fab Shop, and learned a lot about body welding with thin metals. Why they either warp or make a hole when you try to do a continuous bead, like when you're welding something thick. Why you do a series of tacks that wind up looking like a bunch of boogers. It's because the boogers attach the two thin metals without making a hole or warping it. But then you just clean it up with a grinder and it becomes a durable, and you'll have to touch up some because you'll make little holes in there still. Alright, now to do a little bit of touch-up welding, but I'm going to go ahead and stop y'all because I'm at the hour mark, and I'll try to keep my videos below an hour. This one will probably be over. Alright, repair is complete. Took me actually about a little over 2 hours to do everything. A lot of the stuff when I was putting it back together didn't go back together as easily as it come apart. And I found no quart of ATF to fill this with and clean my oil bath. Had somebody one time ask me, well, Chad, why don't you convert that over to a filter cartridge like modern tractors? I'm like, well, it takes a half a quart of either motor oil, ATF, whatever I put in here. When I bought the tractor 20 something years ago, that was a 99-cent purchase. Filter, that was get a cylindrical air filter that would look like it was something that was OEM going in a tube like this one is in. Well, it's been considerably more, and even now where oil is about $6 a quart, and filters run anywhere from 10 to that's probably $40 for one about the size this one used, depending on brand, quality of it, and am I getting a filter and a pre-filter, or am I just putting a filter? So and to make sure this doesn't stick out to catch on something. It's about the only thing I care to use crescent wrenches working on stuff. Tighten something like this. If I can get it to work. The reason I hate using them for other stuff is you get in there doing stuff and they have a way of slipping tight and getting in the way. And alright, I'll let y'all see before I get the battery put back in, and you can't see everything I've done. So I straightened it out there and there. Couldn't pull that dent. You see the brown spot. Couldn't straighten that out all the way, but it's better. Looks like nasty booger wells, but when I look through it from the backside, you don't see through, so I'm hoping that's good enough to keep moisture to the minimum getting in there. And the way I angled it, set it up, as you can see, now it just looks like I smacked something there instead of running over something and getting pulled into a tree and almost under the mower. But you can see I got the mower full of cats set up. I think I'm going to do some mowing, but y'all have a good day.